How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today I'm going to share a drill with you that I actually use myself a lot. I seem to be using myself a lot more now. I'm actually playing a bit more golf, and I also share it with people that I teach online. It's an impact drill, and what it basically does is it just gives you a feeling of how basically the club should be moving coming in towards the impact area. So it's quite a clever drill because it seems really simplistic and obvious, but when you actually attempt to do it, it's the attention to detail. So what you will need to do this drill correctly, ideally, is you'll need to do it in front of a mirror. And I would also suggest that you actually want to place something like a little bit of tape across the mirror, and you'll understand why as we get into this drill. To first of all confirm, we're basically doing this video because problems that I tend to see, and a lot of you will relate to, is coming in towards the impact area. Golfers who tend to flip, which means, shall we say, like the club head is overtaking the hands coming in towards the hip, so the elbow tends to move too much this way. Maybe we see golfers that swing out to in, so the shaft starts to come down too vertically rather than really pushing the club through. And I suppose we could also categorize it for the golfer who gets caught too much into out. So they would have a lack of rotational movement coming in towards the hip. Now, to clarify, basically this drill is all about how the shaft should be moving at the bottom part of the swing, right? But you've also got to think about the club face. So the lead arm in the golf swing is the arm that basically rotates. So you can see why watch face moves towards the target, which helps not only the closure of the club face, right, to make sure that you get the club face square, but it also helps you control the shaft angle swinging on plane. So how do you do the drill? Okay, so what you're going to see in this video is that we've got the benefit here of a visual, because not only will I put a line on the screen, but you've also got the visual of the slatting in the backdrop here as well. I'll show you again how you're going to recreate this at home. First, get the club, get your grip. So the club is horizontal, but it's resting through your belt line. First move is then cock the club up, right? So you're basically trying to keep your hand where it's located, but cock the club up to the point where your lead arm stays pretty straight, and you're cocking the club up where to your maximum capacity, basically. And then what you're going to do from this position is you're going to rotate. So you can see that I've got the watch on the lead wrist. Rotate the watch so it points up towards the sky. Okay, now from this position, the objective is that we want to do a couple of things. One, we want to make sure that the shaft stays as horizontal, right? Meaning that we don't want too much of this angle or too much of this angle. So see the way the shaft is kind of deviating this way or this way. We want to try and keep the shaft as flush to horizontal coming into that hitting area as you can. Again, you could do this now and you'd be like, well, that's easy. But second thing, you have to think about the club face, right? And the last thing is you've got to think about the hands as well, right? So basically, my lead shoulder, my feeling is that from this position, I am going to get my hands working in front of the mirror in line with the shoulder. So basically, I'm not doing this, yeah? My hands are going over towards my shoulder line as I'm looking at you guys, but you guys will be looking in the mirror, or you can use your phone, right? And prop it up that way. So you get into this position, hands go towards your shoulder, and then as you keep moving it through, there's going to be an element of down cocking and release, but you also need to think about rotating the club face as well. And what you're going to do is, as you do this exercise, you're going to get a real strong sense for how the lead arm is rotating, but to stop it from moving this way, also how much your right hand has to support. And then eventually you'll get into the habit where you'll be able to do this sort of exercise and feel and translate that in towards a shot as well. So this is what I'm saying, right? I've got this camera set up here now. This is what, great advantage of phones. You've got cameras on the front. Use the camera on the front, okay? And then basically from there, that becomes your mirror at every opportunity. Now, if you want to download a software application as well, Huddle is a free one. That's the one that I generally use to kind of import and export videos so I can slow them down with people that I work with online. That's a free application to use, HUDL. There's absolutely loads on the market that you can use. But the point is that the applications will just give you the freedom to draw lines. So you get yourself set up and you get into this position like so. And then from there, again, all you've got to do is make sure that your hands are moving over towards your shoulder, and you are basically rotating the club face as you come in towards the hit, whilst keeping the shaft horizontal, right? And then this is going to give you the twisting sensation of the club face that you need to basically demonstrate a great impact position. It's going to stop you going too much in to out. It's going to stop you going too much out to in. It's going to give you that solid feeling of hitting through the ball and also getting that club face square, but also retaining the club path, because your ability to be able to negotiate the club this way is exactly the same as your ability to negotiate the club that way. It's just that this way is going to be a lot easier to visualize, and it's slightly exaggerated in terms of the amount of shaft lean that you'll end up, but that's not a bad thing, because generally most amateur golfers get too much this way, where the lead arm slows down, the club head overtakes the hands. We want to get the feeling that the hands are being aggressive, they're getting ahead of the ball, club face is squaring up, and also we're getting that solid hitting area coming in towards that impact area. So you don't want to use your smartphone, you can't record it, then the last thing that you can do is just in front of the mirror at home, just get a bit of tape, place it on the mirror, and then in your own reflection, you can do the same thing where you just keep the shaft moving through that horizontal line, and you've got no excuses now. Absolutely no excuses. This is a drill that I work with people online, and it works well because they generally get it wrong. They do things like this and they don't realize it's like, no, you've got to keep the shaft horizontal. You've got to think about getting the club face square, and it's going to give you a much more solid feeling of hitting through the ball as opposed to anything else that you'd be able to relate to if you're struggling with your impact position. That's it. It's a great drill. Eventually, you'll be able to go back down to the driving range and get the feeling of doing exactly the same thing, where you'll be able to feel what's right and wrong. So you go back down to the range and you'll be able to get this feeling of how the club is supposed to navigate its way towards impact. And then maybe you can go down the range and just hit a few short impact swings where you're going to get that feeling of that solid contact, and you're going to get the feeling of how to get the club down on towards that hitting area. And like I said earlier, it's just a really, really good drill to give you that feeling of a solid impact. Have a go. Another excellent drill coming up onto the channel really, really soon. Something that's going to help you stop getting too chicken wingy and again hitting through the golf ball. But this drill is excellent because what it does is it helps you give you the correct sense as to how the shaft is supposed to come in towards the back of the ball and get that feeling of hitting through it. My other drill is going to give you that sort of athleticism and club head speed, so when you marry the two up, hopefully you're going to completely revolutionize how you hit the golf ball. Always appreciate one of those. Remember, it's free to subscribe, absolutely free to subscribe. If you're going to do so, press the little bell icon, because that means you'll receive notifications every time a new video comes out. Work on this drill, see if you can get the same sort of feeling, so when you start having practice swings you can do the same sense and you'll get a much better, stronger understanding of the difference between right and wrong. That's it. Catch you with you guys soon.